bhagavate-vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate-vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Nishtiprayeshu abhadreshu Nityaṁ bhāgavata-sevayā bhagavati-uttama-shloke bhaktir-bhavati naishtaki durlabho manasho deho dehinam shanabhangure atrapi durlabam manye vaikuntha priya darshanaha. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear worshipable devotees, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Canto Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9. And we read till chapter 15 last time about Lord Śrī Paras'urâma avatar, how he was born, how he killed Kartavirya Arjuna, how he killed the different dynasties of 21 times, and then how his fight was there. So a lot of discussion is there. And then finally, when he killed these Kshatriyas, his father told about forgiveness, that how a Brahmana, we are Brahmanas, we are supposed to forgive. So finally, Lord Paras'urâma, and he told us to atone for your sins, that is to kill the king, who is a representative of the Lord. You have to atone and go to holy places. So that was the last point which we were discussing in chapter number 15. Sorry, chapter number 16. Correct? Did we complete this chapter? Chapter 15. Okay. Chapter 15. Chapter 16 is also about Paras'urâma. So we completed chapter 15. His birth and his background. Anyone has any comments in 15th chapter? Okay, so we'll start with chapter 16 today and see what happens when his father. Anyone remembers the name of the father?
Jamadagni, you mean?
Yes, Chandagni was the father of Paras'urâma. Anyone remembers the name of mother?
Renuka.
Yes. So let's read chapter 16. Thank you. In the name of the Mataji. So we'll start with a quick summary here. Sampada, Mataji, you want to read?
I don't think I can read right now. I'm in the kitchen, so.
Can Mataji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. World's ruling class. Paras'urâma gets, Lord Paras'urâma destroys the world's ruling class. When Jamadagni was killed by the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna, as described in this chapter, Paras'urâma rid the entire world of Kshatriyas 21 times. This chapter also describes the descendants of Vishwamrita. When Jamadagni's wife Renuka went to bring water from the Ganges and saw the king of the Gandharvas enjoying the company of Apsaras, she was captivated and she slightly desired to associate with him. Because of this sinful desire, she was punished by her husband. Paras'urâma killed his mother and brothers, but later, by dint of the austerities of Jamadagni, they were revived. The sons of Kartavirya Arjuna, however, remembering the death of their father, wanted to take revenge against Lord Paras'urâma. And therefore, when Paras'urâma was absent from the ashrama, they killed Jamadagni. who was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Paras'urâma returned to the ashrama and saw his father killed, he was very sorry, and after asking his brothers to take care of the dead body, he went out with determination to kill all the Kshatriyas on the surface of the world. Taking up his axe, he went to Mahishmati Pura, the capital of Kartavirya Arjuna, and killed all of the Kartavirya Arjuna's sons, whose blood became a great river. Paras'urâma, however, was not satisfied with killing only the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna. Later, when the Kshatriyas became disturbing, he killed them 21 times, so that there were no Kshatriyas on the surface of the earth. Thereafter, Paras'urâma joined the head of his father to the dead body and performed various sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord. Thus, Jamadagni got life again in his body, and later he was promoted to the higher planetary system known as Saptarshi Mandala. Paras'urâma, the son of Jamadagni, still lives in Mahendra Parvata. In the next Manvantara, he will become a preacher of Vedic knowledge. In the dynasty of, do you want me to stop here, Prabhu? In the dynasty of Gadi, the most powerful Vishwamitra took birth. By dint of his austerity and penances, he became a Brahmana. He had 101 sons, who were celebrated as the Madhu Chandas. In the sacrificial arena of Harishchandra, the son of Ajikarta, named Sunha Shepa, was meant to be sacrificed, but by the mercy of the Prajapatis, he was released. Thereafter, he became Devarata in the dynasty of Gadi. The 50 elder sons of Vishwamitra, however, did not accept Sunaha Shepa as their elder brother, and therefore Vishwamitra cursed them to become Malichas, unfaithful to the Vedic civilization. Vishwamitra's 51 sons, along with his younger brothers, then accepted Sunaha Shepa as their eldest brother, and their father, Vishwamitra, being satisfied, blessed them. Thus, Devarata was accepted in the dynasty of Kaushika, and consequently, there are different divisions of that dynasty. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I will give it to you, Prabhu. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So, nice summary by Srila Prabhupada in this chapter. So let's go deeper with text number 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Pitropa Shikshito Rama Statheti Kuru Nandana Samvatsaram Tirtha Yatram Charitavashramam Avrajat. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shukdev Goswami said, "My dear Maharaj Parikshit, the son of the Kuru dynasty, when Lord Paras'urâma was given this order by his father, he immediately agreed, saying, 'Let it be so.' For 1 complete year, he traveled to holy places. Then he returned to his father's residence." Hare Kṛṣṇa. So, very nice quality here. We see the Supreme Lord is sharing by his own example his obedience. He's the ideal son. And Lord Ramchandra went to the forest when his father told him with a very broken heart, because we all know the story, the 2 bones by KK. He didn't ask questions. Why me? No, I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe you are mistaken. Maybe, no. You don't know the whole story and whatnot. Guru said, "Let it be so." The father said, "Let it be so." Great Soul said, "Let it be so." So That's the quality of a disciple, a student, a son, or to follow the seniors, the father, the guru. So here we see Lord Paras'urâma did not give any reason, did not say, no, Father, you don't know, whatnot. He could have given multiple reasons, right? But he immediately agreed, saying, let it be so. Prabhupada gives this analogy multiple times. A disciple should just follow the instructions of the Guru and say, yes, sir, I will do it. So he went to the holy places to atone for the sins and came back after 1 year. Let's see what happens. Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa, everybody. Download Param. All cases Śrīla Prabhupada. Text 2. Kadachid Renuka Jata Gangayam Padmo Malinam Gandharvo Rajam Kridantam Apshabi Aposhayata. Translation by His Divine Grace is Bhakti Anushan Prabhupada Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Once, when Renuka, the wife of Jamagni, went to the bank of the Ganges to get water, she saw the king of Gandharvas decorated with a garland of lotuses and sporting in the Ganges with celestial women of Sharas. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you, Prabhu. Quite straightforward. There's no purport to this verse, so we'll continue to move forward and see what happens when she saw the Gandharva king enjoying in the water with the other women and playing water sports. Text 3. Anyone wants to read? Sudhir Prabhu, you want to read?
Sure, Prabhuji. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam, all praise to Śrīla Prabhupada. Text number 3. Vilokayanti kridantam udhakratim nadim gata homa velam na samsara kinchit chitraratha spra. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. She had gone to bring water from Gangas, but when she saw Chitraratha, the king of Gandharvas, sporting with celestial girls, she was somewhat inclined towards him and failed to remember that the time for the sacrifice was passing. Thank you, Prabhuji. Back to Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, quite straightforward here. She had gone for a purpose. The purpose was to bring water for the sacrifice. And the name of the Gandharva king is also mentioned here, Chitraratha. So she was inclined just by seeing that, and we see that whatever is in the span of our observation, right? We all have experienced it. We will certainly be inclined to it. Therefore, it is said that we should be careful in what we watch, in what we think, in what we hear, because our inclination, which is not, or my inclination, which is not naturally Krishna conscious, my inclination is not like Prahlad Maharaj. Naisargiki rati. Prahlad has naisargiki rati. He said, I'm naturally attracted to Krishna because he like a, what, I can't stop it. Like a iron cannot stop from being attracted towards the magnet. But in the fallen conditioned state like mine, that thing is not natural. What is natural? The attraction towards material world, towards opposite sex, towards beautiful cars, towards beautiful homes, towards money, towards outside stuff, glamour, etc. And that's natural, but in a conditioned state. Therefore, we have to give a fertile environment. If we give an unfertile environment, then those things will grow. But if we keep good association of devotees, Bhagavata, etc., then the dormant, natural Krishna consciousness will awaken. So let's see, she kind of got delayed because she, for a few moments, the exact time is not mentioned, but for some time in the mind, she was thinking about the Gandharva king and the celestial girls. So let's see what happens. And the time for sacrifice was passing. So let's read the next verse, text number 4. Yes, Raghu Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, thank you. Hare Krishna devotees, text 4. Kalatayam tam vilokya mune sapa vishakita agatya kalasam tastau purodaya kratanjali. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Later, understanding that the time for offering the sacrifice had passed, Renuka feared a curse from her husband. Therefore, when she returned, she simply put the water pot before him and stood there with folded hands. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So, Jamdagni's wife, here, Renuka, understood that she had done a mistake. At that point, even it was all in the mind, right? It was all in the mind. That for a few moments or for some time, she thought about the king and the celestial girls. And as a result, some time had passed. She understood that she had also done a mistake, which was not a very grave mistake. It was not like what Ajamil did, right? Ajamil also first saw a prostitute and a low-class man embracing, and then he had also gone for something similar purpose to fetch wood for the yajna. And Renuka had also gone to get some water, Ganges water, for the sacrifice, which is yajna. So quite similar purpose sent by the husband. But Ajamil, even after coming back, he did not leave that. Rather, he contemplated more dhiyato Shriyan Punsam Sangasteshu Pujayati Sangas Sanjati Kama Kamat Krodho Vichayati. With it all, that trap deepens us and grabs us in the really trap, because that's where it's a trap network. But here we don't see that happening in the case of Renuka. She was guilty, she was fearful, she was humble. She stood with folded hands, referred as Krita Anjali Mudra. It's basically Krita Anjali, folded arms, folded hands, that I'm sorry, my master, I did a mistake, a mental mistake. But so let's see what happens further. Text number 5. Aswati Mataji, want to read?
Dandavat Pranam, everyone. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Text 5. Vyavicharam munir gyatva pratnya prakupita bravit gnatainam putra kaha papam iti uktaste na chakrire. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Jamadagni understood the adultery in the mind of his wife. Therefore, he was very angry and told his sons, "My dear sons, kill this sinful woman." But the sons did not carry out his order. Back to Prabhuji. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So this pastime is certainly of the previous yugas, right? Most likely, is there someone recalls which yuga? Is it Satyuga or Treta? Either of those. Right? But
Prabhuji, it's Treta Yuga?
is Treta Yuga?
Yes, Prabhu.
Treta Yuga. Thank you. Because Lord Paras'urâma, we know that when the bow was broken in the Mata Sita Swayamvar, then Paras'urâma came at that time also. Where the two lords, Lord Ram and the two Rams met. Śrī Ramachandra and Paras'urâma.
And Prabhu, it says that Pururava, when Pururava story ends, it says, and the Treta Yuga had started. And then there are only 5 generations later, and then this dynasty we started reading about. This part of the dynasty we start reading about. Hotraka and them, 5 of them, Vijay, then his son, and then Hotraka, and then Jamadagni is there from Satyavati. 2 more generations, one Jamadagni and then Paras'urâma.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That's very good reference. So here we see adultery in the mind of his wife. Via bichar. I remember I've seen some Diksha ceremonies in Hindi. So basically, maybe in Hindi, no illicit sex is referred to as avyavichar or no adultery. But how does it begin? It begins through the mind only, right? Of course, in Kali Yuga, sinful activity committed in the mind is not considered sinful, and pious activity or a devotional activity considered even in the mind will give merits, spiritual merits. That does not mean that we should only do it in mind. But even if in the mind one thinks, let me offer, and there are so many pastimes around it. The story of Narasimha Brahmachari, who did not have the money to offer nice food stuff, but in the mind he was offering and making the kheer. Very classic example. And then he touched it with his finger, and his finger got burned. So the Lord accepts even in the mind and then in Kali Yuga, adultery or any bad activity done in the mind, but is not considered really bad, because otherwise, what would have happened? So, is there anyone who can say that who has not committed any bad activity, but to speak of in the mind, even grossly also, there would be very few people. What to speak of saying, I have not committed any bad activity in the mind. I have never thought of anything ill about anyone. I have never thought anything wrong about the opposite sex, even in the mind. If someone can say that is really a great Mahatma, right? I've never had a lusty, envious, angry, greedy thought even in the mind. that person would be, is certainly very glorious. Even physically, following all those principles is very, very glorious, what to speak of them. So now but that doesn't mean that we should excuse, okay, chalo, chalta hai, mind me, I can think of bad, mind me, I can have bad thoughts, mind me, it's okay. No, because what's in the mind will come through words and actions very soon. Very simple. So even if it comes, if a bad thought comes in the mind, we should beat our mind with shoes and stick. Why are you thinking like this? If it comes, think about ill about someone, we should look at the qualities. If it thinks something bad which is inappropriate for our Krishna consciousness, we should immediately correct it with good intelligence through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Otherwise, and not say it's normal to think bad in the mind. If we give that a normal license, then very soon it will manifest through either words or physical actions. That thought will become action. Therefore, they say, watch your thoughts, right? Watch your thoughts, because thoughts becomes actions. Watch your actions, because actions become habits. Watch your habits, because habits become character. So it all starts with a thought. She had a thought in mind in previous yoga that was considered, sinful, a bad thought. So we can imagine the level of purity of people, right? Jamdagni could know why the wife was late, because she had a bad thought. And as a result, he said to his children to kill this woman, which was, let's see if the children, what did they do? Did they execute the father's instructions? Actually, it's mentioned here, they did not carry out his order. So let's see what happens. Text number 6. Anyone wants to read who hasn't got a chance yet? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Text 6. Ramah sanchudita pitra pratrin matra saha vadhit prabhavagyo muneha samyak samadhi tapasasya saha. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jamadagni then ordered his youngest son, Paras'urâma, to kill his brothers, who had disobeyed this order, and his mother, who had mentally committed adultery. Lord Paras'urâma, knowing the power of his father, who was practiced in meditation and austerity, killed his mother and daughters immediately. Purport. The word Prabhavagyaha is significant. Paras'urâma knew the prowess of his father, and therefore he agreed to carry out his father's order. He thought that if he refused to carry out the order, he would be cursed. But if he carried it out, his father would be pleased. And when his father was pleased, Paras'urâma would ask the benediction of having his mother and brothers brought back to life. Paras'urâma was confident in this regard, and therefore he agreed to kill his mother and brothers. Hare Krishna, Babaji, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So we read about the brothers of Sri Paras'urâma, right? That many sons headed by Vashuman were born from the womb of Renuka. In last chapter, we read this text number 12 and 13. So first he asked the elder sons. Paras'urâma was the youngest. The elder sons did not, because they had the Brahmanical propensities, right? Brahmanas generally don't indulge in violence, especially the physical. But Paras'urâma, especially, of course, he is not just He's beyond, right? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya. But in the role of a Kshatriya, he had come. So he immediately followed the instructions. What were the instructions? To kill the brother and the who did not follow the order of the father, and the mother who committed a mental adultery. But no, do not do this at home kind of situation. My father once told me, look, Paras'urâma, what he did. I didn't know, but look, Paras'urâma, what he did. And I was confused. Right? Did he really do that? Like, how come someone kill his mother? And how come a father say to kill the mother? I was like shocked. I didn't know all this. I was very young at that time. I thought maybe my father is testing me or something. I thought maybe he's cooking up a story like this. Didn't really happen. So, but now this purport clarifies this so nicely. That Paras'urâma knew the power of his father. That if he does not do, then it will only attract the wrath of the father. But if he does so, then his father will be pleased, and then he can revive the mother and the brothers back. So that was the intent. So that's why he agreed to. But of course, no father can say or basically say that you do this because the scriptures. So we cannot quote this as example to justify one's acts, because is that father at the level of Jamdagni? One should ask. Or is the son at the level of Paras'urâma? Let's see, next verse, text 7. Yes, Kirti Mataji, want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, text 7. Varena Chanda Yamasa Prita Satya Vati Sutah Vrate Hatanam Ramopi Jivitam Cha Smrutim Vadhe. Translation and purport by C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jamadagni, the son of Satyavati, was very much pleased with Paras'urâma and asked him to take any benediction he liked. Lord Paras'urâma replied, "Let my mother and brother live again and not remember having been killed by me. This is the benediction I ask." Hare Krishna, Prabhu, back to you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So no purports to these verses, but Paras'urâma, Lord Paras'urâma, he knew that the father would be pleased if he follows the instruction. And he not only asked to divide them back, but also asked that they should not remember. Otherwise, how would they live together? Just think about that you killed us. The mother would know, the brothers would know. So he asked that when they come back to life, they should not remember that I was the one who killed them upon your request. So Jamdagni or Paras'urâma asked for this request from his father. Any other comments, any additions anyone has?
It's very interesting that Jamadagni, even despite being Brahmin, asked him to kill his mother and brothers. In Brahmin's quality we read, and he was meditating on Supreme Lord. So we see again and again that Brahmana's main quality is forgiveness. So just interesting observation.
Thank you, Mataji. Even Gautam Rishi kind of did something similar, right? Everyone remembers that story?
Actually, I don't even know that story. You want to elaborate?
So Gautam Rishi's wife was
Yeah,
very,
the other one, not the Buddha. Okay.
yeah. In the Ramayana, this comes Gautam Rishi's wife was very beautiful. Indra developed a propensity to enjoy. Indra developed this disguised as Gautam Rishi, and it was in the company of the wife of Gautam Rishi. Poor wife, she didn't understand much because Indra disguised as, as the husband. But Gautam Rishi came back. He understood what all transpired. So he cursed him again, not a very Brahmanical quality, but he cursed that the wife becomes a stone. The Ahilya becomes a stone. So that was, and then the curse is also a blessing. And later Lord Ramchandra came and touched that stone, and Ahilya came back to life. So, and Indra is also called Sahasraksha. That's also tied to this curse. Sahasra means 1,000, Aksha means eyes. So it's also tied to this curse of Gautam Rishi. You may have seen some pictures of Indra with eyes everywhere on his body, hands, legs, everywhere, eyes. Right, that's also tied to. Okay, let's read.
The curse was even worse, but at least he got it was loosened to that to be replaced with the genitals to be replaced with the eyes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I have to make few comments on that.
Yes, please.
So here we can see Jamodagni. Mataji was saying that he's Brahmin, but we can see that he took that because it was a truth. So he took that on his own wife. We can see that same thing in Mahaprabhu's pastime. Choto Haridas had just a lusty eye or something, and he actually went to get that rice for Bhagavan Acharya, who was actually Mahaprabhu's spiritual master's god brother. And Mahaprabhu didn't tolerate that. He actually totally asked him to get out of his sight. And Srila Prabhupada there commented that there is a Bengali proverb that a mother cannot tell anybody to the daughter-in-law, but she can tell her daughter. It's called Bhoke, Jike Maria Bhoke Shikha. Jamodagni's decision here, most likely because Jamodagni was the Brahmin, most likely he had a lot of students and everybody. He just wanted to give that lesson to everybody that in that period, even in mind, thinking of something like that, it is not conducive for the devotional service. So if we see that Jamodagni here give the punishment to his own person to give the teaching, we see that's the same thing. We saw that in Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Jiva Goswami's pastime also. Srila Rupa Goswami actually, he totally left, asked Jiva Goswami to leave him because of this, because there was not a big fall actually. Jiva Goswami just corrected someone. Pushti Marks, I forgot his name.
Digvijay Pandit.
Not Digvijay. He corrected Rup Narayan, but there was the
The
he's the Pushti Marks.
They call him Mahaprabhu too. They call him
Mahaprabhu, yes,
Mahaprabhu in
yes,
there.
yes. Actually, Vallabha Bhattacharya. Yes,
Yes.
Vallabha, thank you. He just, I mean, he just corrected Vallabha Bhattacharya. So we, I mean, I'm seeing that here Jamadagni wanted to establish that truth, that which is also a quality of a Brahman to his followers. And that's why he took that on his wife, but most likely he will not do it to somebody else. There he's going to show his mercy or kindness. That's my understanding.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your reflections and comments. Thank you. Okay, I see Swati Mataji wants to read. Would you please?
Hare Kṛṣṇa. Text is Uttastaste kushantido nidra paya vihanjasa pitur pitvam stapo viryam ramas chakre surit padam. Translation of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, by the benediction of Jamadagni, Lord Paras'urama's mother and brothers immediately came alive and were very happy, as if awakened from sound sleep. Lord Paras'urama had killed his relatives in accordance with his father's order, because he was fully aware of his father's power, austerity, and learning. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. It's quite straightforward here. Parashuram killed the brothers and the mother, and then Jamadagni agreed, and he revived them. But they didn't know what really happened, right? Death is often compared to an extended sleep. When I first time came to, it was maybe my first year in US here in Florida. One of the co-worker was saying, "Oh, I'm putting my dog to sleep." I was like, "What? You have to put your dog? They don't go to sleep on their own?" I didn't know what they were. Like, it's basically when the dog gets old, and suffering or something, they decide, okay, now it's time for him to the end. That's right. Am I saying it right? They say like that here, putting dog to sleep. So, I don't know if the scriptures, I certainly feel the scriptures don't approve that, because we don't have the right to choose how much a person has time to live or not, because they're also jivas. And anyways, not going into that practice, but death is referred to as extended sleep, because of course jiva does not die, soul does not die. Like in the sleep, 6-7 hours, we don't really remember what happened, right? And sometimes in the sleep, we think we are the king. We sleep, we think we are the parrot. We think we are this, we are that. But then we are reminded back of the time. Just think about Krishna. Sarvasya chamrida sannivishto mattasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. He gives the remembrance after that, right? We remember our name. We remember everything before the sleep. Correct? Isn't it interesting? But in the extended sleep, we don't remember what happened. Like, we all have taken multiple births, as Krishna says, that the jiva does not remember what happened in the past birth. 1 or 2 cases may be there which remember out of thousands, but in general, people don't remember what happened in their previous birth. But Krishna says, "Bhava, we have taken a lot of births. You don't remember. I do remember all that, because he's Krishna." So here also, the mother, Renuka, and the brothers, they didn't know that all this pastime, all this thing had happened. So, why? Because Parashuram had asked this boon So look at the power of the great Jamdagni here. Certainly extraordinary power he had. And certainly he had that cow also, the Kamadhenu, Surabhi cow. So let's read maybe one last verse for today. And anyone who hasn't got a chance, Shital Mataji, want to read?
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Ye Arjunasya Sutarajan Smarantaha Swapitur Vadham Rama Virya Parabhuta Lebhire Sharbada Kvachita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. My dear King Parikshit, the sons of Kartavya Virya Arjuna, who were defeated by the superior strength of Paras'urâma, never achieved happiness, for they always remembered the killing of their father. Purport: Jamadagni was certainly very powerful due to his austerities, but because of a slight offense by his poor wife Renuka, he ordered that she be killed. This certainly was a sinful act, and therefore Jamadagni was killed by the sons of Kartavya Veer Arjuna, as described herein. Lord Paras'urâma was also infected by sin because of killing Kartavya Veer Arjuna, although this was not very offensive. Therefore, whether one be Karta Veer Arjuna, Lord Paras'urâma, Jamadagni, or whoever one may be, one must act very cautiously and sagaciously. Otherwise, one must suffer the results of sinful activities. This is the lesson we receive from Vedic literature. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, back to you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. This is an excellent verse here. I especially like the last line of the purport here, the second last line. So point number one to be noted here, that yes, Jamdagni was a very powerful, great Brahmana, a lot of austerities, yajna, dan, tapa, and in the power, learning, everything was there. But sometimes, even in that situation, one should not feel that, yes, whatever I do is going to be the right thing. Here, Prabhupada is writing very, very clearly that the act of Jamdagni, he immediately concluded in an anger. And in anger, we don't make right decisions. Very simple. When a person is too happy or too angry, the decisions are not right at that time. So one should not make decisions or conclusions when a person is too angry or too happy. His Grace Visheshika Prabhu recently gave a class which I got the opportunity to attend. He was mentioning sometimes we have some disagreement with devotee, this and that, and it happens, or with any family member or anyone rather for that matter. We should not make absolute statements. It will burn the bridge of even future future kind of reconciliation. If you do this, I will never see you again. Very hard absolute statement. You are always doing like this. You never do like this. Absolute statements. They burn the bridge of relationships. Rather, we should always give a benefit of doubt, right? Rather than jumping to conclusions. The most dangerous jump, as Chaitanya Prabhu gave a class on this, the most dangerous jumping to conclusions. Renuka, okay, she did a mistake, but she was reflective about it. She realized her mistake. She was regretful also. She was standing in the Kritanjali Mudra, begging for forgiveness. She understood she got late. at that point, she was not feeling proud. No, I didn't do anything wrong. She was not like cheating. She didn't do anything wrong grossly. So the mistake was there. But the mistake was not as offensive as the what do you call, the punishment given, right? For example, if someone steals in Hindi they say khira chor, both are chor. Khira means someone steals a cucumber, that person is a thief. Khira chor is also chor. Someone steals a big multi-million-dollar diamond. But do you think that they should be given same punishment? Killing an ant is also killing, and killing a brahmana is also killing. But do you think they should be given same punishment? Knowingly killing is also killing, and unknowingly killing is also killing. But do you think the punishment is same? No, absolutely not. The punishment cannot be the same. Especially when a person is apologetic and regretting the mistake they have done, even unknowingly or it was accident. Krishna says this about forgiveness, that apicheta suduracharo bhujate mamanyabhak sadhureva samantavya. When someone does a mistake which is unknowing and unwanting, I forgive. I consider sadhu. So why was Jamdagni killed by Kartavirya Arjuna's sons? Because he asked Paras'urâma to kill Renuka. So what does Prabhupada say in the last line? Whether one is Kartavirya Arjuna, whether one is Paras'urâma, whether one is Jamdagni, whether one may be, whoever one may be, one must be very cautious. One must act very cautiously and sagaciously, otherwise one will suffer the results of sinful activities. Let's see, what does the word sagaciously mean? Sagacious, of keen, far-sighted penetration and judgment, caused by or indicating acute discernment. In short, one must discern what will be the impact of it. One should understand every action would have an impact. It's not that what I think is right, it has to be right. Why? Because I'm thinking that it has to be right. How can I think wrong? No, even one must be cautious. And then how will that happen? When we take good counsel. Even if we have an idea, we're not sure it's good or bad, it's always good to take counsel of senior Vaishnavas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Does the Shastra recommend that? Does senior devotees recommend that? Does the Sadhu recommend that? If yes, then certainly it's a good idea. If you're not sure, it's always good to check. Because if in this case Jamdagni would have discussed with maybe other sadhus, of course we are not judging anyone, but we're just trying to understand some lessons here. If Jamdagni would have discussed that this happened, I know my wife did a mental adultery, should I give the punishment of asking my children to kill her? Probably he would have been told by them that no, this is too far of a punishment for the poor wife whose sin is not as grave as, and especially when the person is atoning for it, especially when the person is really regretting for their even small crime they have done. So that's a big difference than someone trying to hide it or falsify it or cheat around it. So all these are lessons I'm repeating for my own self, because we can put our own name as well. Whoever one may be, one should act very cautiously and sagaciously, but discern very carefully. Any other comments, additions anyone has in this few texts we read today? Okay, so we will pause here and continue tomorrow with the next verse and see what happens. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana ki jai, Shri Paras'urâma Bhagwan ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.